the decentralized media has opened all of us up so they can't control what everyone's seeing and hearing anymore. And the truth is so powerful.
So recently, Ian Carroll was on Candace Owens' podcast, and he talks about a few cultural silver linings that we've experienced in the last few weeks, and also some of his disappointments with the Trump administration. It'll be interesting to see what he says and to determine if he's being fair or not. So let's watch and let's react.
Pains me to say that I don't feel that guardrails have been set up under Trump, who I have supported for 8 years. It pains me to say, but I now feel that he has just allowed his administration to run things and is not doing what I put him in office to do, or at least not prioritizing what I put him in office to do.
They had a very clear mandate coming in, and it was America first in every sense of the word. And the deportation stuff has been a huge mess, right? Like, so much of the government, getting the government uncorrupted, kind of been a mess. Some of it's been great. It's been easy to paint it on Twitter and get lots of views for, promoting his last thing that he cut, or the last thing that he, uncovered and exposed, which a lot of that Doge stuff was actually publicly available information in the first place. Like, a lot of that was already out there. And at the same time, the real, like, Israel first bent to it all is scary. And the JD Vance Peter Thiel connection, where JD Vance is getting propped up as like 2028 presidential run kind of material, is scary, because JD Vance is very skilled, and I've really enjoyed everything he said on camera. Like, he is an excellent public speaker, and his debate was amazing, and I didn't know anything about him beforehand, and he's very good at what he does. But when you actually research how he came up and how he got put into that position, who funded him all the way up, it just looks like they're setting us up for 2028 to be the next step down this road, and trying to keep themselves positioned as the good guys. Is like, they need us to be on their team, right behind them on team victory all the way.
Yeah, I have to agree with him here. So far, the Trump administration has been essentially an Israel first administration in many regards, not only in terms of foreign policy, but also in terms of domestic policy. And Carroll just highlighted that right there when he talked about the deportations. So Trump and Vivek and a few others talked about their plans for mass deportations of illegal immigrants. And, notwithstanding whatever your view is on that, but if you wanted that policy, the best way to sabotage it would to not do mass deportations of several millions of people, but also actually just isolate it to a few dozen, maybe 100, 200, and target only critics of Israel, and send those people to the worst prisons in El Salvador without due process, and argue that that's conducive with the Constitution. That would be the best way to sabotage it. And so far, that's what we've seen from this Trump administration. So, for the so-called warriors of free speech, it's hard to swallow some of this stuff. I also agree with them on Vance. Vance presents extremely well. He's very good at having a conversation, connecting with people. He's pretty charismatic. But I, too, worry about his policy positions. He is a hardcore Zionist. He is a hardcore protectionist. He's also basically supported every single war imaginable except for Ukraine. Now, I like the fact that he had misgivings about bombing Yemen, but as soon as Hegseth and Waltz responded to him, he was just like, all right, sure, I'm not necessarily opposed to it if you guys are on board. Like, it was as tepid and feckless as a pushback as you can get, but I'll give him more credit than the rest of those in the Signal chat that was released in. So I don't hope that Vance inherits the MAGA energy in 2028. I'd much rather it be someone like Vivek or obviously Thomas Massey. The latter might be more of a pipe dream. And I know people have problems with Vivek too, but I think he's more philosophically and principally sound.
Well, the reality is that American sentiments are shifting, and it's not going to be enough. I don't think propping up people is enough anymore. I think people are very much awake to what's happening, and that's what terrifies them. That's why they're running this operation, COINTELPRO 2 and Chaos 2, trying to make people not believe in us and make us think that we're the ones that are sold out. And by the way, I do want to say this too, like their strategies are laughable. Like they're so boomer cringe. Like
Oh
the woke
man.
right trying to keep pretending and
The
like
woke right.
confusing what woke, like everyone knows it too. Like and they spend hours on Twitter. This is what the real woke right is. This is what the real woke, anybody who doesn't like Israel is the woke right. It's like, guys, we all know who it is. Okay. You can create an entire liturgy of woke right. We're awake. We know it's you. We know it's you. Never-ending wars. Like, especially when Meghan McCain tried to weigh in. I'm like, no, guys, this is way too obvious.
You don't want her on your team.
Yeah,
like,
their strategies now are like, we're gonna criminalize just asking questions. I'm like, this is such a bad idea. I'm like watching their PR from afar, and I'm just like, guys, you're not winning anybody. You're just not winning anybody with this, and they can't stop themselves. The Babylon Bees' brains are broken over there, and they've aged out. I think they just like aged out of PR and understanding like what Gen Z is and understanding like how the millennial sentiment, and they're just kind of engaging in really weird PR tactics of like, we're going to issue a report on Christ is King. I'm going, guys, what are you doing? No one is falling for this right now.
Yeah, you tell me, what is more similar to left-wing wokeness? Calling all critics of Israel woke right and using anti-Semitism as a bludgeon the same way that the left wing uses anti-Semitism as a bludgeon? Or being critical of Israel? I know the answer. It's the first. And that's the thing that they use to lump people into the so-called woke right category, whereas the tactics being utilized to do that are indistinguishable from purple-haired sophomores in college saying that any critique of the American political system or the American political regime is racist, and systematic racism is to blame for everything. So it's pretty obvious what's going on here.
I mean, you said they've aged out. I would argue that they have truthed out, in the sense that the decentralized media has opened all of us up so they can't control what everyone's seeing and hearing anymore. And the truth is so powerful. And, you might say God is so powerful because so there's this quote I always come back to, and I heard it from Ryan Dawson first, but it might've been older than that. And it was that a lie needs to be spoken 1,000 times to be believed, the truth only once, right? And it's because you need to just hammer that into people, but the truth just spreads itself because everyone has a brain, everyone has a soul, everyone instinctively does hear God deep down inside of them, that like in their own heart, telling them what's true. And when you hear truth, you know it, right? And I think that they're doing everything they can to divorce people from truth, divorce people from God, divorce people from each other, and then fill their alone time with garbage. Because it's when you're alone that it's just you and God. It's just you and your soul, right? And if you are the kind of person that can't be alone, that can't have a night alone at home without drinking or smoking or watching porn or doing all these other things, and it's like, I'm not judging you. I have no, I'm not a perfect person throughout my life either. But if you aren't the kind of person that can just be with yourself, that can just read a book and be at peace, can be with your own thoughts and be at peace, that is their goal, is to stop us from being able to do that, to stop us from believing in who we are and being able to connect as real human to human, which is what Maha is all about. Maha is all about getting back to being healthy humans that have healthy habits, that have healthy relationships, that build a strong country and community, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And you are right. I think that is what it is their lies just seem louder and more erratic now than they've ever been. And they just fear more people telling the truth. And they also seem angry. Yeah. You can sense they're losing control because we're all so happy and we're sharing the stuff and we're excited that we're learning outside of the public education system, and we're recommending books, and we're admitting when we get something wrong.
It's crazy.
And
yeah, the corporate media's demise and the rise of independent media and social media kind of taking over the space that the corporate news outlets used to hold is a huge phenomenon, and you can see it more and more. They're losing control of the information. They're losing control of the narrative. You see this especially in regard to Israel. The rigid, zealous supporters of Israel are behaving more erratic than they ever have to lump everyone who critiques Israel or U.S. foreign policy in regard to Israel as anti-Semites. It's just kind of ludicrous on face value when you consider a lot of these accusations are thrown at Jews like Norm Finkelstein and Glenn Greenwald and Dave Smith and Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mattei. The list goes on and on and on about this.
They're
Oh my
just hitting
gosh.
people with utter arrogance and
Yeah.
definitions, and this is what this is, and you will be this, and you will be called names. And I think they know.
Yeah.
They know
Sucks
that
to be on a losing team.
it does. Like, it's like they can see it. They know it's over. They know that they're losing control and they're just kind of becoming undone. And you're right. That is the power of Christ. And that is what I have always maintained it through last year to now, is just when I say Christ is king, you can't defeat truth, the truth, the light, the way. There's nothing you can do to stop this. You're just.
And I'm sure there's people that watch this channel that are of all sorts of different religious faith, but I will tell you that there has been an operation within the last year, since when Candance and Jack Posobiec and some others started saying Christ is king routinely on Twitter. There's been pushback on that for reason of calling it anti-Semitic, just to say that. Like, the foundational cornerstone of Christianity, Christ is king, to say that that's anti-Semitic. Well, if that's anti-Semitic, literally everything on the planet is that doesn't conform to Israel first or Judaism. But it's not even Judaism. It's about Zionism and support for the modern Israeli state, that these people can't stand any dissenting views against that.
And watching them come apart, I can't deny the fact that it's been entertaining. Like, it's been so entertaining, being like,
It
oh wow,
is.
the truth really upsets you that much that you're
Yeah.
just gonna keep screaming. And I guess let's maybe write 30 more articles about Ian Carroll and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Let's see if we can get 50 more out today on your reporter group chat, coming every which way, and it does nothing to diminish our platforms, because people do know truth when they hear it.
It only elevates them.
Yeah.
It only helps.
And it's so ironic, too, because the right pushed back against this when it was the left doing it. When Joe Biden tried to start up a ministry of truth to police against disinformation on the internet, they said, this is un-American. This isn't America first. This is anti-First Amendment. This is anti-free speech. There's no such thing as hate speech. But whoa. Now Trump gets in power. The Israel lobby is fully, galvanized together, totally in control. And now people that have critiques toward Israel that happen to be here even on visas don't get due process. They get sent to prison in El Salvador, no trial. And, hate speech is a little bit more popular now on the right.
Magnify the truth.
Yeah, I think that's like actually an amazing place to end. Ian, what's next for you? Because you are now under fire. I love watching what you're going through, because I remember like when I first got caught a little bit of fire, and then like every which direction people were just making stuff up. I've heard you're everything from like in the Mossad to Adolf Hitler.
Yep.
Which is
everything in between?
Which one is true?
I'm funded by Madagascar, actually. I didn't want to. The news leaked that Madagascar had so much tariffs, and so now it's kind of out there. But I'm actually quite poor, and my plan is to start taking my job a lot more seriously and being more effective, because through all the slings and arrows, through the crazy rise I've had, and through I've purposely not actually gotten very much money, because I didn't want to work with big companies. I didn't want to take brand deals, and I still don't. I want to do my own thing, my own way. And through all this madness, I've seen how messy the like Twitter sphere can get, how messy the online kind of back and forth can get. And so I've been really inspired by people like you that are more on their own train of thought and more doing their own digs and their own research and just staying in that lane and not getting distracted by all the noise. And so I'm trying to focus more on YouTube and more on the products and the corporation stuff along the side too. There's a whole other thing coming out around that I'll be talking about in the next month or so, and just do my own thing and sort of like, you're right that we're all so happy, and it's because we have things that we're working on that matter, that mean something to us, that fill our life with meaning. And I think that's the best indicator of, are you on the right path? Is, are you doing things that fill your life with meaning, that even while the world is burning all around you, you still know that you and your family are on the right path. And I'm on it, and I feel it, and I love it, and it's amazing.
No doubt finding meaning's important, and changing the things that are in closest proximity to you to build a better life for yourself. We don't always have control to make such sweeping changes in the federal government, so it's better to kind of pay closer heed to those things that are around you. Work from there. work from the ground up. Ian had a perfect response to Candace's inquiry on who's funding him, or at least the joke that she put out there. For him to say Madagascar, that's great, because to laugh off this whole campaign that Qatar is so influential in the U.S. government when it's clear that it's actually Israel that has far more influence in the U.S. government, it's the best way to respond to that. Just laugh it off. So Ian and Candace both do really good work. I like their investigatory work. Do I agree with either of them on everything? Certainly not, but that kind of goes without saying if you're a dissident, right? There's almost no one that I appreciate and agree with on everything. But they made some good observations here. Certainly how the Trump administration has behaved, certainly how Israel has taken the primary focus in the first few months of the Trump administration, both domestically and in terms of foreign policy. So we'll see how this shakes out. But I do want to hear from you in the comments below. Do you think Ian and Candace are correct when it comes to Trump and Israel? Otherwise, let me know if you disagree. Otherwise, until I see you guys next time, no more war, no more debt, no more inflation, and no more empire. Take it easy, guys. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace out.